downtown will have to say, we can't stop this movement, and the only way to deal with it is to give these people what we owe them and what their God-given rights and their constitutional rights demand.
They think it's murderous intentions from these lyrics that I'm spitting like it's a pin. I should sit in for this pin that I'm gripping, but it's Bushwood Forte. You gotta pardon my spitting, cause of the way I'm connected. This is divine intervention, refined in the wisdom of the mathematical language of God wisdom. And I'm just a small fraction of the knowledge that the law given. I ain't pushed down the pen I was scripting, I pulled the pen that I was gripping. Unleashing this explosive mind of mine that's been drifting through a condescending system designed for my kind of slipping. But I'm kinda different, my thoughts are kinda Christian, but not like the seizure Borgia European concert giving. More like the real original Israelites on a divine mission. Well, when I put it like that, maybe it's more than kinda different. Y'all mind said Asian condoms to this kinda spitting mind doubt with kind of vision. Too big to just kinda fit me. Keep it real, you with the stimulator from the inside, feeling the song cause my condo's missing.
In the name of Allah, the Yielders, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and His blessings.
They think too small, but I'm the size of vision. It's a new era in sound and children, but I won't diss them in. I won't condemn them all. Call it condom, cause when you black with a New York lifestyle, you understand, son. You used to making what's poppin', or not fitting in. I wasn't built for these rappers, raw as I get it in. You got beef, talking hot dog to Frank, not with him. That's your man's, well, my boy gon' leave your smarts on him. It won't be no pardon when you beg pardon him. They'll pardon him from the parts of him. You'll piece it together while left puzzled. You ain't want no part with him. Hand shaking like the pom-pom of a cheerleader with Parkinson's. I got a short fuse, you spark it, I'll spark you. I'll Constantine that devil in you. Daily depart you. Meditate, check yourself, restore your natural order. Before we left to send you past the supernatural border.
In the name of Allah, the Yielders, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah and His blessings.
What's up, everyone? This is Welcome to the Rawrrzone segment inside the Rawrrzone, where we're here every day, every week, highlighting our creatives. We are highlighting our small independent platforms. We are highlighting our movers and shakers. My name is Ivy, aka KDK 169. So today's guest comes from an organization called the Cultural Reset. And if you don't know, the Cultural Reset, or TCR, is an organization that seeks to uplift the voices, artistic expression, and industry experiences of the people of color and LGBTQ artists navigating through the music industry. Through conducting intimate informational interviews with talent and publishing written reviews of album releases, TCR hopes to embolden underrepresented creatives and industry professionals to make a space for themselves in the music industry. The two young individuals that I am interviewing today is Nick Lee, who is the editor-in-chief, is an international business and entertainment alum of the American University, having worked and interned for prestigious broadcasts such as CBS with the Tamron show and the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and the singer and performer himself, which he's gonna sing. Watch. Nick is a passionate advocate for cultural and ethnic diversity in all facets of the entertainment industry. He hopes to use the Cultural Reset to bridge the diversity gap in music through creating a platform where innovative creators of color and LGBTQ plus identities are living. Shannon Irvin, the assistant director of the Cultural Reset, is a graduate of West. In the position of assistant director, she hopes to bring a voice to make space for B BIPOC and LGBTQ plus people in the music industry. Shay stands for inclusivity and love, and she believes that the music has the power to bring people together for change, whether it's for equality, justice, or to combat climate change. She believes that music opens up people's ears, hearts, and minds. Now that the music industry is having to adjust, there is no better place or time for the cultural reset the industry and put the power in the artist's hands. So without further ado, and I could stop reading and actually introduce these people, let me bring up Shay and Nick from the Cultural Reset. Hello there. Hello.
Hello, Rawrrzone. Hello, Katie.
What's up? I feel like this has just been a while coming. Like, I am sorry because we did have you guys on Station Head and then it just didn't work out and then everything just was all over the place. How are you guys feeling today?
I feel good. How are you, Shay?
I'm really good, especially today. It's just been a good day. But specifically right now, we're really excited for the website. You know, we've got some big stuff coming on Wednesday, actually, so very soon. So that's exciting.
Ooh, what's on Wednesday? Tell us about Wednesday. What's Wednesday?
So yeah, Nick, go for it.
Well, so Wednesday we have an artist interview coming out with Kristen Gray. He's an incredible gospel and R&B singer that we got a chance to sit down with, and we talked a lot about his music and like his artistic expression, and we talked a lot about him navigating the industry as a Black man and how some of the events of 2020 with the protests and the unjust killings of Black men by police kind of affected him and affected his art. So we really had just a really intimate, in-depth conversation, and it's scheduled to come out on Wednesday, full-length visual content on our YouTube page, The Cultural Reset. So I'm really, really hopeful that this is going to be kind of that interview that is going to really loop people in and show people like the full scope of our mission, because our mission essentially is finding a way to bring voices to underrepresented communities in music, because the music industry in and of itself is not easy in any capacity for anyone. But it's particularly unjust when it comes to POC and LGBTQ plus artists that are trying to make their way in the industry. So we kind of bring their stories and bring their voices and kind of provide a platform for them to fully express themselves by doing, album reviews. We have a writers team that are dedicated towards just doing album reviews by POC and LGBTQ plus artists. We do the artist interview series that we have where we sit down and we have these really deep conversations with these artists where they get to like be completely vulnerable with us and tell us about their experience. And we also curate playlists as well that actually feature these songs by smaller independent POC and LGBTQ plus artists, but also larger POC and LGBTQ plus artists. And so the goal is just to really kind of create this space, right, where people can come and find this incredible talent, and also where artists can come and feel safe to express themselves and their experiences.
So being that it is Black History Month, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel as a collective you guys can amplify your voices in order to work towards, the greater goal right now, which is promoting more inclusivity, promoting more for Black Lives Matter, because it is such a crucial time in history right now?
Yeah, so for Black History Month, we have all Black content, all Black everything slated. So all the artists that we're going to be interviewing, they're all going to be Black artists that are in different sort of genres and different areas of the industry. We're going to be doing album reviews on specifically albums that are released by Black talent. We're going to be curating playlists that are all Black songs by all Black artists. You know what I mean? So we want to contribute to Black History Month by kind of, again, like using our platform to just uplift Black artists. But then also we have a series that we run on our social media platforms called the Cultural Resetters series. So you can find that on Instagram. And one of the things that we do with that is kind of take a look back at some of the resetters, as we call them, that have made strides in the industry that kind of help people today. So for this particular month in that series, we're going to be focusing on all the Black musicians and all the Black engineers and organizations that kind of helped Black people and Black artists in particular kind of make a space for themselves in music. So that's also a series that we're working on too.
I want to.
Sorry, continue.
I wanted to just say that a part of our Black History Month content, what we're doing is a lot of, like, you know, Black history and music, and through the past with our Cultural Resetters series. But we have, you know, Black History Now, basically, with our artist interviews, and looking at, you know, Black future in the music industry with our playlists, and trying to see, you know, young and upcoming artists and young talents, and really exemplifying them during this time. I mean, we do it year round, but in particular, I think it's really awesome that we have this set month to dedicate, you know, to only that. But we do that, you know, the rest of the year as well. So
Right.
So, Shay, being that we said that, right, and if I can address, I guess, the elephant in the room being of the time period as well, you know, within Black history, you know, while we try to help, you know, but being us in the Caucasian race, like, we do solidify, we do unite, and we do promote inclusivity with, you know, our fellow people of the cultural reset, and we always whatever. But do you face, or do you, how do you deal with backlash sometimes? Because I know myself as an artist manager, and I do represent, you know, a few R&B artists, a few hip hop artists, and I get many looks at times where people tell me, well, okay, you know, I've gotten people pretty much call me a cracker working with these people. I've had racist emails come in my, you know, DMs trying to put me down because I work with them. How have you faced that adversity working on such a large platform such as this?
Well, luckily, I guess I haven't really had anybody tell me that I'm out of place. I mean, I do realize that there are certain conversations that I shouldn't have, and there's certain things I can't say, but that's also how I act on a daily basis. You know, it's like what I bring to the team is my experience as, like, somebody who manages volunteers and as a queer person myself. And I can bring that to the team, but I know what I can't bring to the team, and what I can't, Nick can. And you know, sometimes when there are certain questions that we ask in interviews or get asked, I know that this is a question for Nick. It's not a question for me, because I don't have the Black experience, obviously. And I think it's just really important to know when to talk and when not to talk, and when to be like, this is my place to say something, this isn't. But luckily, I haven't really faced anybody telling me that I'm doing something I shouldn't. And if I ever do, I would like to know. But I work with a great team, and I kind of, like, I feel like I know my place. If that makes sense.
It really worked very well.
I hope it doesn't offend anyone either by asking that. I just know from his experience from history, you know, even like when I went to just some of the protest rallies, you know, where people question me just being there, saying, I hope you're not here just to take some pictures. You're here to actually, like,
oh yeah.
me.
I mean, nobody likes it.
If I could too, like, I want to explain the mindset behind that too, right? So, like, in, like, just historically, you have, like, Black individuals like myself that have been kind of denied a sort of space to themselves. You know what I mean? So, like, when it comes to that type of, like, blowback that, you know, you would get, Katie, I think it's wrong. I don't think it's necessary at all. But I also want to, like, kind of contextualize it in the sense that, like, you know, a lot of these, like, genres in music, for example, like R&B and hip hop, you said you represent a lot of those artists, right? So a lot of those artists a lot of those genres, like, artists are marginalized you know? So, like, and those genres themselves are marginalized at, like, award shows. They're marginalized in the industry. Because traditionally, like, back in music history, they were considered race records, right? Like, the music industry was so segregated in and of itself that they would literally have white artists reproducing songs by Black artists just to sell to white audiences, just because white audiences wouldn't buy race records, right? So that's kind of where you kind of get this sense of seemingly overprotectivity, if that's the word for that, when it comes to, you know, Black talent and Black people in the music business who want to kind of protect those genres. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I definitely think that we're kind of reaching a point too in the industry where all genres are seeing this sort of inclusivity happening. There's less sort of, blowback for Black people, for example, working on the music business or the creative side in like country, for example. There's less of a stigma, and this is like all, something that we're progressing towards, but I think that we're breaking down the walls to seeing the sort of inclusion in the country space with Black people, and like for R&B and hip hop, seeing more inclusion of white faces in those spaces as well. So, yeah, I don't agree with the hostility for sure, but like that's definitely kind of the context as to why you do see sort of Black music business professionals getting defensive in that sense.
Understandable.
Yeah.
But that's why Nick is so badass at his job, though.
Yeah, me and Shay have an incredible working dynamic. Like Shay and I, we take these interviews and we just share them perfectly. We feed off of each other perfectly, and it's because we both kind of know where our skill set is in terms of like the conversations we're trying to have, right? Yeah. So I mean, like Shay was saying, like she knows what to say and what not to say. I know what to say and what not to say. So we know how to have these genuine conversations with these artists that we bring on. So
yeah, and I feel like I also bring the female perspective into a lot of conversations, and like what it's been like to be a female in the music industry, because that's a whole nother,
big giant issue.
Yeah, another issue. One thing at a time, but that is.
And it's also not even about just being a female. It's about being LGBTQ as well in the music industry, where there is creatives, and I've personally seen have had roadblocks due to their being lesbian, gay, bi, straight. I mean, it's coming to a point though where we need to start accepting it. I mean, look, we have like Ellen DeGeneres, we have, LGBTQ artists that are really trending right now.
I don't know if Ellen is trending for all the right reasons.
No, I don't mean trending in the sense of that, but like you have artists like her, like SZA, I believe, are LGBTQ, or they have some.
And I think that one thing, and it's, it's not like my queerness shows through. Sure, I've got pride stickers and pride flags, but when I walk down the street, it's not just like she's queer, It's
I'm not gonna go with a flag on in order to prove who I am either.
Right, but the other side is that once people do know that you're queer, there are some people that just don't understand what that means, and they still can't wrap their head around like, the fact that you can be gay or you can be bi or you can be straight. But I identify as queer, which isn't any of those things. And it's, start having those conversations is when you kind of like get into the icky picky, and it's not just like a straightforward answer, say you're backstage bonding with somebody and that comes up, it's not something that just comes up casually, but when you actually get to know people, there's some depth to it for sure.
How have you guys been able, because you guys are both young professionals right now, you're still trying to make your way through the industry. How are you balancing though, the stresses between the cultural reset as well as your current endeavors?
Yeah, for me, and I'm sure this is the same for Shay too, like it's not easy doing this. So I want to stress the fact that all, like me and Shay and all of our volunteers, like we're all just that, volunteers, right? So we're not getting any sort of monetary compensation out of it. And we're also working completely virtually online given the pandemic, which really makes this kind of a tricky, thing to kind of do. But like we work really hard at it, and it's something that we're passionate about. So on my side, like I work hard at it, and I don't really feel like it's work because I like it, if that makes sense.
Nick thrives on having Nick thrives on having a busy schedule and no time to sleep.
I will say too, like I know that Shay's gonna say this. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but I believe that everybody should have like a Beyonce level work ethic. So that is the work ethic that I like to have. Because like, I mean, there's just for me, like you can get so much done, and like we're put here for a reason. And like for me and Shay, like this is like one of the reasons we feel like we were put here, right? And like if like I have a really busy schedule, like Shay was saying, but like I feel like this is something that's important to incorporate into that, you know. So it doesn't really feel that hard, but like the planning and the work that we do with the volunteers, like it is rather meticulous. So it's been an effort for sure.
Meticulous, but I would say fun, because I feel like through this experience, even though Nick and I have only seen each other once in person, I feel like we've become really great friends. And I feel like I've become friends with a lot of our other volunteers, because when we do have meetings, when we decide to, you know, when we actually need to talk business, we still have fun conversations while we talk business. You know, like we still like, what's up? How's life? Like we actually get to know these people, and it gives me a sense of community. And I think that that's, you know, huge in these times of isolation.
Definitely. I echo that for sure. Like TCR has really been a great space for me to just kind of see and sit down with individuals, like actually look at people and talk to people, because we're all kind of quarantined right now. So that can drive you mad. But, you know, it's been a great opportunity to just kind of talk with people who just have the same passions as we do.
And learn and feel like I'm using my time well, because there was definitely a time during even more lockdown where I was like, I'm not even doing anything with my life right now. I feel like I'm actively doing something. And this is something that, you know, as young professionals, Nick and I have had to learn how to balance this, not only for ourselves, but also for our volunteers. Because this, I mean, there is definitely a workload, and we are navigating how to manage a team completely virtually around the world in different time zones, who all have different tasks, and everything has to be done at a certain time and to make sure content comes out on time. I mean, there's so many different gears turning, but I love that. I love managing and organizing and planning and communicating, and so I feel like this helps me thrive.
I agree. Also, another thing I wanted to stress too is that, like, you know, Shay and I, like, we do have our know-how and our expertise and like in terms of like managing the platform as well, but like the volunteers as well, like they bring a whole lot of expertise and knowledge to the organization. Like, you know, so like Shay was saying, like we find ourselves learning from them. And also as a volunteer with TCR, like building this platform with an incredible group of like 20 people that we have, it's a great learning experience for the volunteers as well. Like our volunteers have learned a whole lot about, and like they tell us this too, like they learned a lot about social media strategy. They learned a lot about like breaking into like content and how to upload stuff and all that jazz. So like, it's been a really great experience for all of us, really big learning experience.
And going forward.
All right. So
yeah, and going forward. So
I am so sorry. My Wi-Fi kicked me out. Listen, they just couldn't handle the greatness.
Oh, no,
we kept the conversation going.
If the conversation got too hot, I really think that's what it was. So who is part of the cultural reset?
Well,
so we have an incredible.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shay. Like
right now, I think that we have a team of about 20. I want to say 23 people. That number is fluctuating because we are looking for more volunteers and we are onboarding pretty regularly. But yeah, we have, you know, young, diverse professionals from graphics to, we have social media managers, we have a writing team, PR, research, and an editing team. And our editors are working on our video content, which we were talking about earlier. So, yeah.
What is like your interview process to recruit people? Because we do know, like, even though, you know, it's a volunteer service, we want to make sure, you know, we still have the right people doing the job.
Absolutely. So we have kind of a specific kind of set of questions that we ask, but kind of the gist of that is, do you know what our organization does? Do you know how we function? Are you able to reinterpret what our mission is to us when you hop on the call for the interview?
Well,
Really want to, but in general, we really want to find people who are really passionate about this and are as passionate about it as we are, as passionate about it as the team is. And then also just like talented individuals. Like if anybody's like watching this, like if you feel like you are talented in any of like the categories of graphics, research, editing, and film, like please, like feel free to come to us and we'll definitely like hop on a call. And if you're passionate about the music industry, like we'll definitely hop on a call and like interview you. But we definitely make sure that like we have all of our volunteers really care a lot about what we kind of do as an organization. Like you have to be somebody who cares about the POC and LGBTQ plus experience in the music industry, like point blank, you know? Yeah.
I would like to say though, if you don't know our mission, we're not going to say no. But it shows that you put effort in, and we really do need people who are willing to do the work. Our volunteers that we have, they have weekly tasks and we have deadlines, and so it has, we have to be able to rely on this person. So if they come to us knowing who we are and what we do and the role that they want, then that makes our job easier, and we already know that they're passionate and we can get to know them and find their fit on our team. Of course, anyone who is willing to give their time to the website, we are willing to give our time to find where you fit. We have a lot of different departments that have different workloads and different tasks, but we definitely want to give our volunteers the utmost opportunity to expand their professional experience, especially, as young professionals going into the music industry. Once you, join TCR, you get all this experience, you can make connections and carry this mission of uplifting POC and LGBTQ plus people in the music industry into their careers in the future. And that's what we really want. We just want to, grassroots help all of the young people in the music industry be like, I'm skilled at all of this stuff. I know what I'm doing. I can go into the music industry and I can say, that is wrong and we should do this instead in order to make something more inclusive or more equitable. We want to be able to help cultivate that community of people and that backbone for each other. It's a whole support system. When somebody needs something, there's normally somebody that knows somebody or knows something about it. And if not, YouTube it. Google.
Yeah, exactly.
What has been your highlight?
As much as we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say, Nick?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, as much as we are an organization that needs people to kind of help who care about the mission as well, like we definitely want to be an organization that helps young creatives as well. So yeah, I think that was a really good point, Shay.
What has been your highlight interview?
Can't ever pick one.
It's hard to pick one. Yeah. If I were to pick one of my favorites though, because like they're all different stories and they're all different sort of, conversations. But if I were to pick one of my favorites, it would definitely be the one that we just did with Kristen Gray.
I knew you were
coming out this Wednesday. Yeah, that was, it was such a deep conversation about who he is as an artist, where he comes from, his journey, and also just some of the general things that impact Black people just living in America. We talked a lot about that, and like it was a great opportunity for him to vent and talk about his experiences, and I got a chance to vent and talk about my experiences as well. It's been one of the most refreshing conversations I think that we've had, because we touched on a whole bunch of stuff. So
yeah, and that was a phenomenal interview. And just like human connection, that was just, Kristen really opened up to us, and like I feel like his friend now after that interview. It was great. I also really liked, and I want to throw out Middle Child, and Mel Seme.
Yes. Oh, Mel. I love Mel.
Yeah. Mel was a really insightful interview, and I feel like we gained wisdom by talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest part. Honestly, for me, that's the highlight of what we do with TCR. Just getting a chance to talk to these artists that come from all these different backgrounds and have all these different experiences. Like we had a conversation with Shayna.
Oh, I love that one, and I love Sheena. Like I've met her a few times, and she's
really,
really, that's crazy.
She started up in the independent circles I was in.
Really? Yes, I know she's in your area. She's in, I don't know if she's in Queens or Astoria or Brooklyn.
She's in Astoria.
She hangs a lot with people in Astoria. That's why, because there's an artist named Brian June that you guys might want to look at. Also, he's an LGBTQ artist.
An LGBTQ artist. I was assuming she was about to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is also a good point to just throw out to anybody listening that if you if you are an artist or if you know of an artist who is POC or LGBTQ plus and would like to sit down and do an interview with us, we're always booking. Every week we put out new content, so we need somebody for every week. So definitely, send it to us you can contact us on our website, cultural-reset.com.
Another interesting thing that we do with our artist interviews as well is we don't just accept like any artist. So we have kind of a criteria. So one of the criteria is that you have to fit with the mission of our platform. So that means no derogatory language towards any marginalized groups can be found in your music, period. So you can't be an artist that, calls women derogatory terms. Like you can't refer to people who are in the LGBTQ plus community with derogatory terms. Because we really want to keep this space safe, like we were mentioning before. So that's one aspect. I think another aspect too is that we want to make sure that the artists that we cover and promote, that they don't have any domestic assault charges or any sexual assault charges, because again, like that safe space is really important, and we don't want to promote anybody who has had that sort of history, because it just isn't really something that benefits anybody, if I'm being honest.
No, of course. And then here's my thing, and I think we had that conversation when I first started with the Cultural Reset.
Yeah.
Where we ended up talking about Bad Bunny and the changes he's made as an artist. Mm-hmm. Outside of his wrestling skills, because I had to show him the bunny fly.
Yeah.
The bunny flew.
Bunny flew?
The bunny flew?
The bunny flew, Shay. Bad Bunny jumped off the top rope at Royal Rumble, socking The Miz and John Morrison. And now he's supposed to perform at WrestleMania, and it's still embedded in my head.
Yeah, that was a video that Katie sent me, and it was Bad Bunny at this WrestleMania event, and he just hopped off of these rails and just jumped on like this guy.
It was crazy, and I had to tell Nick I was going crazy. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Interesting. As a choice, I guess.
I'm really happy you brought up that conversation about Bad Bunny too, because I think Bad Bunny is an artist that is really interesting in kind of the course that he's taken with his career, right? So he started off as an artist that kind of used some interesting language towards certain groups, and like he, had some, unsavory history, but recently, like he created an entire album that was all about like the LGBTQ plus community, and was created basically to uplift that community. So like that was an interesting conversation that we had, Katie. I'm really happy that we had that. But like when it comes to the artists that we feature on the platform, like ideally, like none of that derogatory history, none of that questionable stuff.
I wanted to mention real quick, it's www.cultural-reset.com. Because I see on the screen right now, it says the Cultural Reset.
The Cultural-Reset. Oops,
cultural-reset.com.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah, like that is that's one of the biggest things that we do. And then another really cool artist interview that I want to talk about too was Jazzy Mejia. So some of our artist interviews, they focus a lot on the artist experience coming up in the industry, specifically trying to find ways to, to make their dreams come true as an independent artist. So Jazzy Mejia was an interesting one where we talked about her experience in a group that a lot of people may remember called GRL. They're like an internationally known girl group, but they split up a while ago. And Jazzy Mejia kind of found herself in this position where she had to learn a lot about the industry to come up as an independent artist. And she had to, learn how to produce music herself. She had to learn how to reach out and network to the right people to sort of build her own career. And that was a really interesting conversation because that one taught me, and I'm sure taught a lot of the people who saw the interview, about how important it is to know everything you can about the industry that you love. So if you're an artist, it really, really helps you if you can sing, if you can songwrite, but also if you can produce, also if you can engineer, also if you know how to network, obviously, also if you can do graphics and do editing for your own stuff. So Jazzy Mejia was a great example of, being a self-starter in the music industry as well.
So I want to pose this question to both of you, right? Because you do have your own media efforts and everything. And I like that Shay touched in about outreach. What skills do you guys feel like you have picked up being part of the cultural reset?
So many. I guess specifically within the virtual realm, my skills have advanced. I've been working mostly in person at festivals and such in terms of my experience with the music industry. So definitely looking at the virtual end. And let me tell you what, details upon details upon details. That's what I've learned, is that it's all in the details. I mean, we spent, I don't even know how many hours discussing this one square graphic logo that we are planning on putting onto our Instagram.
We've done that twice. We've done that. Yeah, that was. Yeah,
it's definitely been a lot of patience and Googling and YouTube videos and asking questions to the general group of our team, because what we have found is that collectively somebody on our team probably knows something about what we're trying to learn about. For example, we're going into the realm of Facebook and YouTube right now, and we have a volunteer who has experience working the business end of Facebook and experience with podcasts and such. And so I think, well, if I had to make this is the one thing that I have learned, is that you would be surprised how capable our volunteers are. I guess I'm not surprised, but I just think that you should never underestimate young professionals, because gosh darn it, we're doing it and we're doing it well. And I'm not surprised because there's just so many skilled people on our team.
For sure. Katie, what was the question again? Were you asking about skill set?
I was asking both of you what skill sets you guys both learned.
Oh wow, I did not really answer that, but
no, you did. You did
answer my answer.
It's okay.
For that, I've learned a lot about marketing, social media marketing, digital marketing, using some of those platforms that Shay was talking about, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram especially, as a way to promote content. I've learned a lot from the team about pitches and reaching out to artists and their representation, and finding ways to kind of communicate what you want to communicate to them to get the artists to come onto the show. Even though we really haven't had any trouble with that. We found too that a lot of the artists that come on to our series, they're really willing to do it. They really want to tell their story. We're an outlet for them. So but as always with any process like that, booking talent, you have to know what to say, know how to say it. So I've definitely learned that for sure. And I've learned a little bit from the film and editing team that we have about the different kind of programs that you can use to produce really, 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 really high quality videos. So yeah, I think that we have definitely, even though we run the platform, we've definitely learned a lot from our volunteers, and they've learned something from us as well. So
what I'm gonna do is, guys, I'm gonna put us on one little music break, so I could just go and like reset everything, so I could be able to stick here for a few more minutes with you guys. It also gave us a chance, so anyone who's in our audience that has questions, they can ask questions. And this is Inside the Rawrrzone. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, FM9. You see, I sat in the room as the main top biller. While thoughts flooded my mind, you got a cop skrilling. Now for 20-odd years, I've been in the same spot. Sunlight consumed by the pain of raindrops. A-T-E. Okay, first things first for the real. Cause we only spit facts for a bit. We was all getting turned in the building. But let's go and take it back for a bit before we let that beat drop. Wait a minute. Shorty said she gon' let the fiends watch while she step on these thoughts. She don't care what we got. Wait a minute. So I said I don't mean to eavesdrop. Girl, I need a clean shot, so we let that beat drop. And shorty is lit, she finna let that peach pop. Let me know what you sip, I'm about to get like 3 shots. Don't follow the script, we gonna get the scene hot out here with these plots in the spot. Yeah, buddy, you know it's the big stars here, get money. And shorty is a big star, yeah, feeling lucky. So you know we gon' get lost, yeah, she gon' love it. Coming with another clip and we be hustling, running through the trap so smoothly. We gon' bring it back for the movement. Yeah, we still hustling, and we get right, real right. I know you trustin', baby girl. Shorty get it poppin' for the real ones, yeah. She gon' drop it for the trill ones, yeah. Shorty get it poppin' for the real ones, yeah. She gon' drop it for the trill, let me talk to 'em. So if you really tryin' do a date for 2, then I'ma get it in like a gangster do. Cause baby do it big, she a gangster too. 5'2", slim, thick, she my gangster boo. Yeah, all in the back, check. Know when he hit it, go cop. Drippin' with swag, yes. All the way down to your body. Diamonds all over your neck. Know that you keepin' it rocky. They should just call you Celeste. Cause you a heavenly goddess. She be Beyonce, so I feel like ho. These other joints peak, she ain't built like those. Like the place she gon' burn up, you would think she did a murder. Think her favorite color purple because shorty fit a turn up. She be hustling, running through the trap so smoothly. We gon' bring it back for the movement. Yeah, we still hustling, and we get right, real right. I know you trusted, and baby girl, shorty get it poppin' for the real ones, yeah. She gon' drop it for the drill ones, yeah. Shorty get it poppin' for the real ones, yeah. She gon' drop it for the trill, let me talk to 'em. Do that, with your rocks and range, shorty move that. With that big old thing, don't need to prove that. Cause when we up in the game, they be like, who that? So go and do your thing, I said do that. With your rocks and range, shorty move that. With that big old thing, don't need to prove that. Cause when we up in the game, they be like, who that? With the sauce, throwing them racks back to back. Cause we still do it big on facts. Give her something she could feel so she could chill on that. They gon' wish they was here, put a mill on that. I've been real and I'm still on that. Man, shorty been hustling, running through the trap so smoothly. So go on, bring it back for the movement.
Ladies and gentlemen, FM9.
You see, I sat in the room as the main top biller. While thoughts flooded my mind, you got a cop skrilling. Now for 20-odd years, I've been in the same spot. Sunlight consumed by the pain of raindrops. Mad rhymer sitting in the rented Pathfinder. Over here trying to make this fame Pathfinders. Circling my neighborhood, we far from the greater good, where most wanna take the hood just to rape the hood. Searching for a signal like lordships for a lighthouse. All I find is lies like what lies in the White House. Backstabbers riding in the backseat with knives out. Guess it's what tend to happen when you taking a live route. So much to cry about, too late to cry now. Why should I frown if the pain never died down? My cousin on lockdown, his letters on the hold. Losing his youth is getting severed in a hole. I just wanna forever glow. If you ain't loyal, then my hustle you'll never know. Clearly you can see this ain't for the gram of the vine. This for opportunity, not the fame of the grind. And I ain't wasting my minutes, my whole mission is winning. I lived in darkness like Riddick, y'all slaves, I ain't with it. Can't master me, I'm Master P, no limit. Actually, you ain't half of me, I'm gifted.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Slim and Mickens like the 2020 gangstar. Star Frank and Uncle Charlie, yeah, I used to probably parley with your moms back when she was young with the joint. Point being is pimpin' land and for calendars. Back when I ain't have rules set, no parameters. Chuck was a ball playing philanderer with grammar that could sweep out the soles of her palms. Them cherry red jeans had them up in the air. Thoughts from my wicked chair. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know me. 40 on the hip with the drip like Goldie.
We're back. I am so sorry about that, guys. That normally never happens here, but I guess with Mercury being in retrograde, they don't want us being great today. I really think
Technology goes to whack.
oh Lord. So while I work on putting all the social medias here, because we're missing a little bit of the social medias, because you got to follow the cultural reset. We talked about skills that you've learned, but what have you learned as individuals or a guess about yourself while working on the cultural reset? Or like just as working collectively?
Shay, do you want to go first? I don't want to be long-winded.
It's okay. We love hearing everything you have to say.
Let's see how I can answer this and you can add to it. Let's see. Well, for one, working with Nick has been a huge learning experience with me. To work with somebody who like mirrors my skills but also like complements my skills and his skills, it really like it fills in the gaps between the two of us, which has been a unique experience for me because I guess in a lot of jobs that I've had had bad bosses, bad managers, bad coworkers, or like I've had somebody that I work with but I end up doing all the work myself because sometimes that happens. But I feel like I've learned about that, but I also feel like I've learned more about like public speaking and seeing how to ask questions in our interviews specifically and answer questions when we're being interviewed in order to drive home our mission more, like being able to ask the right questions so that we can talk about the right things in order to actually have an impact in the long run. It's all about starting conversations and being able to inform people and, past our actual website itself on our other social media platforms, like our Reddit or I don't know, our LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is. I think the only thing we don't have right now is Twitter. All of it is for the purpose of starting conversation to actually be able to cultivate communities, but also places where people can pose questions or issues or say if there's a specific artist who's been problematic, like maybe we can or like an artist who is an absolute cultural resetter. Like we want to be able to be that spot. We want to be able to provide all of that information. So it's definitely been a learning experience on like how to do it and how to do it well.
Yeah, I think that that's really good. For me, I what have I learned about myself? I've learned that I've learned a lot about what it technically takes to run an organization.
Yeah.
Like I've learned a lot about what it takes to actually support it on the social media management side, on the PR side, on the research side. Like I've learned a lot about the different dimensions that an organization that's trying to do what we do needs to fulfill in order to actually have a measurable impact on the industry. And that's our goal. Like Shay was saying, like our goal is to have an impact. We want to be that connector between marginalized creatives and the music business. So I've learned a lot about how that happens and how to, design a website, for example. So technically I've learned a lot. I think about myself, I've learned about the importance of, how do I say this? The importance of having I'll say it like this, the importance of creating a space where people can just talk about things without being like weighed on about, oh, when's your newest release and when is this coming out? And like, when is, this gonna happen? Like I've learned a lot about the importance of giving people a platform to just tell their stories and not like worry about, oh, am I going to say the wrong thing? Is this publication going to publish something that's horrible about me because I said the wrong thing? Like, I've learned about the importance of allowing candid conversations to take place. It's kind of broad, but yeah.
Does the cultural reset so obviously, like, you guys don't charge like other publications to do write-ups and everything. So how does the cultural reset is able to sustain themselves in order to keep surviving on a monthly basis, especially during this pandemic?
Yeah, so at this particular stage that we're in right now, I'm funding it out of pocket, but we are open to donations. That's really, really interesting.
Not only open to donations, we are encouraging them by doing things such as designing stickers. We're going to be selling stickers. We're also going to be doing a master class with one of the artists that we previously interviewed, Middle Child, who is an advocate for the deaf community in the music industry. Right. And so it's both going to be educational and we're going to be able to raise some funds that way. And we're doing that in collaboration with the Color of Music Collective. And we will have other events to come. That is kind of like our plan for income is where we are at. And down the road, we hope to be able to host events.
Like digital or virtual? I mean, virtual or in person?
I think later on down the road, we do want to get into in-person events, but given the fact that the pandemic is still, where it's at right now, all of our stuff is just going to be virtual.
I would love to have a presence in live music.
Yeah, honestly, I think, and that's something that we want to do as an organization, like physically make our presence known at festivals, physically make our presence known at concerts as well.
Like, would you think of maybe down the line having ambassadors? So, like, let's say, because Shay had just recently moved, I need to be reminded to where, but I'm pretty sure that's outside of the New York area, I'm assuming. So whatever state she's in right now, and I know Nick is upstate, for an example, and I would be in like Manhattan, but then you might have some people in Washington that could represent for the music industry over there to kind of bridge gaps on those sides to do events.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of what we're doing right now is that like we are opening up our volunteers to like recruiting anybody for the organization from their respective areas, or anybody that they find that is, talented and they think could really be a good fit in TCR. But I also think that that is a really good idea, like actually having a team that's dedicated towards being an ambassador for TCR in these areas. Because like there's music scenes outside of LA and Atlanta and New York. Like the music industry is literally everywhere, and a lot of people don't really understand that. So I think that we would definitely benefit from doing an ambassador type program like that.
So this is new as of today. I'm just gonna throw this out here because I want to manifest it.
Do we got an exclusive? Okay, I'm ready.
Tell them.
What I want to do is I want to have a presence at music festivals, but I want to first open up the opportunity to do kind of a music festival, concert, live show review page on our website and probably our Reddit too, just to be able to, like, you know, me, for example, I plan on going to music festivals as soon as they open. And what I'm hoping to do is, like, after I have the experience of the music festival or the concert, I can be like, okay, how inclusive was this? How, like, you know, was the cultural resetters? Were there any artists that was it like, you know, all white artists? Like, was it POC and LGBTQ artists? Like, you know, kind of do live event reviews in order to promote certain events that, you know, are inclusive and equitable and unproblematic. But that's just me trying to speak it into existence, because obviously we don't have live shows here yet, but that would be awesome. I think that that'd be a great opportunity, and having ambassadors would kind of add to it, I guess.
Yeah, that would like make it even easier to like do. Like
Yeah.
if we have ambassadors that are in these areas. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, we're always, you know, what is it? Shooting for the moon? Shooting for
Yeah,
the
shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
That's it. Yeah, we're always thinking wild, because you know what? Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless if you I mean, like, if you really figured it out.
We're focused on our direction for like the organization for sure. Like we know exactly what we want to be and what we want to mean to artists, what we want to mean to music business professionals, what we want to mean to the industry as a whole. So we are always thinking about ways that we can expand our processes so we can do that in a way that really has more of an impact. So yeah, I think that'd be a great way to do it.
So, I mean, as young individuals, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it, there are still people who throw underground events, right?
Mhm.
How do you feel, in a way, is helping and hindering our culture at the moment?
Underground events?
That when people throw the underground events that has like 100 people,
Right.
you know, like the stuff you see on the news that's now being reported, you know, do you feel like they're honestly helping revive the culture and to keep it going? Or is it more along the lines of, okay, we're really just sitting here wasting our time because we can't be patient waiting for COVID to go away?
Well, COVID won't go away if we, you know, keep encouraging it. But there's definitely there's a lot. I think that there's a lot going on. I mean, this studio time that artists are getting. I mean, they're still making music. The music industry stumbled. I'll say maybe even for a second there it paused, but it's still rocking and rolling. Of course, everybody is so ready for live shows, though. Everybody is like, you know, chomping at the bit for that. So when that'll happen and how it will happen, I think that it's a matter of time, and maybe basement bands is where it'll come back first, because those are, you know, the smallest, most you know, like frequent spots for live music. So maybe that will be the first place live music comes back, but maybe it'll be, you know, and hopefully it'll be COVID safe, and like as we can grow, we do, out of the basements onto the stages.
I know there's like a larger. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, like, I know there's like a larger issue too when it comes to saving underground stuff and like those smaller and cityscapes as well. Just in general, like before the pandemic, like people like city governments were trying to figure out whether to keep these events going and funding them or just kind of letting them die out. I want to stress the point that like those small events, those underground events where you get to find all these new artists and this budding talent, those are so integral to local cultures, like to the city culture. So I know Washington, D.C. has a really, really cool underground music scene. And it's actually underground. Like they literally built they reconfigured a subway structure in DC, like a metro structure, like a closed metro station, into a gallery where there's live performances where there's, yes, I know, it's incredible, where there's like live performances of smaller underground artists, and there's an entire art gallery, and there were conversations about whether they wanted to shut that down or keep it going, and whether the organization that runs it would have the funds to continue the maintenance for something like that. So I think that stuff like that, it really brings a lot of value to the local music scenes as well. So I think that those things do add a lot to the music industry and the culture. So I think
as long as it's done properly, right? As long as it's done with the COVID protocols, because in New York, we have a lot of people that throw events,
right?
And let's keep it real, they end up getting shut down because they're pretty much trying to throw indoor nightclubs.
Exactly. I think COVID-wise, personally, I do not think that we're in a position to go back to live concerts at all. I think if they're socially distanced, that's great, but like the live concerts you'll see in underground scenes like that, and at any like the big concerts that larger artists put on, we should not be going back to that anytime soon.
I will say there is some silver lining here. I mean, with everything horrible going on, you really do have to see the positives, and I try to be an optimist, but because the music industry has had this major wall in front of them of like, how do we bring in funds not only to secure our jobs, because there are a lot of people currently in the music industry that are furloughed or have been fired because no one can afford to pay them. Mm-hmm. Every one of those people right now are using their creative minds, their problem-solving minds right now to try to come up with a solution, because those people want to get back to live content too, live shows too, because that's how they made their living. But that's not possible right now. So everybody is having to get so creative and trying to find solutions. But also these smaller artists who are working from home on their laptops, I feel like they almost had this chance to like catch up, like to refine their skills, to expand, their music experience in this time. And everybody at this point has technology that makes it so that they can make very high quality produced music. So yeah, I think that there is some I think that the field was maybe leveled. Let's hope. I think that this is the perfect time for the cultural reset to emphasize the flaws in the music industry, but also emphasize what we've done right and how we can do more of that when we come back this time, because we got to reset. COVID hit a reset button. So let's actually reset it and not come back and do the same thing and just keep hitting our head on the wall.
Yeah, let's keep hitting that reset.
What do you feel like it's your hardest job as I guess you fall into, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to insult people by saying this, but you've fallen into the millennial gap. But I mean, as a person, like, you were born into the millennial gap, but me, I don't see you guys as millennials, because the way you think about everything, it is so different outside of the actual culture of kids who don't really give a shit, right? So what do you feel, especially with the 2020 COVID year, what was the most delicate, I guess you want to say, part of doing your job with the cultural reset?
I think that like the most difficult, you said?
Yes.
I think the most difficult part has been communicating with everybody through a virtual setting. I think that that's kind of where difficulty comes in sometimes, and we mitigated really, really well. Like, I think that what we pulled off so far has been incredible. But I think there is that sort of like disconnect that happens right naturally. And I think we're all experiencing that too, with being completely virtual, especially when you're talking about a team of about 23 people that are completely virtual. So, we communicate through Slack channels and we hop on meetings throughout the week. But, you always know that you can do things better and more efficiently in person. But we definitely manage, and we manage really well. But I would say, like, with COVID, that's probably the predominant thing that kind of makes things a little tiny bit less efficient than they could be. What do you think, Shay?
Well, I feel like it's also given us an advantage to be able to connect so many people virtually, because if
That's true.
we would not be able to pull this off if it was in person. I mean, you and I were like, what, 10, I think we're actually like 14 hours apart or something like that. Like, there's no way.
Driving wise, I'm assuming.
Right? Yeah, driving.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm in Massachusetts right now. I just moved here, so I didn't.
Oh,
No, don't.
Brady came from there. I'm sorry. I'm still mourning the.
Oh, I thought you were gonna make like some New York joke about people from
No, I could honestly care less about that. Despite all my New York fans, I just am not doing well. Like, it doesn't stomach me. It doesn't stomach well that Brady still is no longer in Boston, and somehow still manages to get another ring.
Oh, you're talking about the Super Bowl.
I can't deal with that right now.
I've heard a lot of debate about whether he's the greatest athlete of all time or not. And
You never stay down. Like, you're in your 50s. Give it up, bro.
Oh my God. That's a career. That's a career choice, folks.
Yeah, he's still winning rings though, so I can't hate.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what the most difficult aspect has been, and I feel like I just think that there is, and that this might make us seem a little bit, I don't know, maybe this is vulnerable to say, but there is this learning curve of being mature within the workplace, knowing how to navigate, because I think that the hardest thing is that during this time, everybody is struggling in their personal lives. I mean, whether or not we see it when we're in our meetings, there's a lot of stuff that happens when the cameras are off and when we're not on Zoom. And everybody is really, really struggling to just keep themselves going. And so it's like, we can't really be like getting mad at people if they miss something or can't make a meeting, because life just happens, and life is happening tenfold this year. And it's like, it's just that I think that has been the only thing, is like, we just want to make sure that everybody is doing well so that they can do their job well. Yeah. But also just like doing well in general and being able to have casual conversations and make these connections with our volunteers to be like, listen, life comes first. You have a job comes first. You're going to school, that comes first. Like, make sure that you can keep up on what you need to keep up, because it's not easy to just keep up with school right now. I mean, are you kidding? Having to do everything virtually? I can't imagine. I'm so glad I'm graduated. Like, I feel so bad because virtual classes suck. So
I did virtual. So I did online education for my master's. I honestly prefer it over in learning.
Some people do. Some people definitely do, but I feel like I'm a visual learner and I need like hands-on, I don't know.
Likewise, no, for me, like being in the same space as whatever's happening is always a pro for me. Like, I always love to be in a brick and mortar location in some capacity. I just like it more. It's just more personal,
No, of course. And like, I enjoyed that with my BA, right? I went to Iona College. I sat in the classroom. But one thing with me, and I think you guys have been able to tell just from me working with me, I haven't been in one room for more than a few minutes without having to go do something else.
Right.
I'm sorry about that, right? I really am, because I still owe you guys an article. But just because I feel like I could pick it up from a book or whatever the case may be, and that was always my issue with school. Like, I never, like, my first couple of years of high school, I ditched school and I still was the top of my grade when I graduated.
Wow.
And the same thing was happening in school until I missed a little too much. But then it also still made me realize, I could really just do this work reading from a book or reading from the prompt and just answering it on my own. And if I have the issue, then I could always call my advisor.
Yeah, some people are like that. Like, I think that's called independent learning. some people are independent learners, and like they learn better in this individual setting where they can just sit with the questions on the page, with the learning material, and just kind of govern the way that they study and govern the way that they do things. And then there's others who just would prefer the more social aspect of learning, the social aspect of like the workplace, so it definitely varies.
Social when it comes to working, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to learning like the basics, I still feel like the digital is more effective. We just as a society, because we were so used to, and this is what I was talking to my best friend Robert about, we were so used to having everything handed to us when we were in person, but nobody realized how, especially during the COVID, how to maneuver the digital area. So the little nerds like me that will always thrive, to learn these maneuvers and tactics, it became easy when it came COVID. I mean, outside of the Wi-Fi mess up this earlier today, it's become easier to maneuver digital era than it is to maneuver through the physical era right now. You can't do nothing physically.
Now that you're saying this makes me recall a thought that I had, or maybe I heard it somewhere. But there are a lot of artists who are like, just don't like to socialize, or like, don't like the public eyes, who are thriving right now. There's a lot of, I guess I can like say, shy artists who are doing really well because they don't have to deal with the in-person stuff. They can make their music and they can put it out there and it's still sick. It's just they don't want to have to deal with the being in front of people.
The Weeknd is the perfect example of that, because I've been following him since 2012. The Weeknd started off as one of the most shyest artists I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
His posts used to be very cryptic, used to be once every 6 months. And if you got a follow from him on Twitter, you were in. That's how much of a cult following that he still has, right? Because he got signed to his label, he has to be more social. But even then, you don't see many interviews on him. You don't see many write-ups unless it's about the project. You see he's very into his facade.
True, yeah. He kind of puts on faces in all of his eras, I would say.
Yes.
Like, he's really, really good as like a character artist. That's what I call them, like artists who have these different eras and become these different people in their music whenever they want to.
And that's why yesterday's like Super Bowl performance, like if you talk to the genuine fans, and I'm not talking about the fans that came after Starboy, because that's when you could see a lot of change in his music. One, the mere fact that The Weeknd was not on as many drugs as he was for Kissland, the trilogy, House of Balloons, and all the mixtapes.
Right.
So you see that change in him, but you see the fans that literally, and you could call us that emos, because most of us were emo. Most of us were in some type of depression in the same way that that Abel was. So it was easier to resonate with the music back then. Now you have Abel that, now with the After Hours project, he got the platform he wanted because that was his message. You could tell that the direction in the videos, everything is all Abel. It's not the labels like it was with Starboy and I Can't Feel My Face, and and even like, so he had to give them that one project so he can be able to take the creative direction he needed, and he's slowly bringing it back with a newer twist.
So to you, we're getting the real Abel now, more so than when he got popular.
We're getting partial Super Saiyan 2.0 Abel type thing. Because remember, you can't go completely back into your past.
Right.
You have to improve on some type of basis. And there's a lot of music artists like Saint Jin, whatever he called, the one that they took the Marshmallow Helmet and made like a Tokyo remix to it. Roses.
Yeah.
So you have Saint Jin, you have her who's very shy. You know, Kehlani, LMA. Those artists are popping out now. They're like like you remember the Revenge of the Nerds?
The Revenge of the Nerds. Ooh.
I'm talking about like movie wise, where the nerds came back. Like this is what our music is going through now, where the kids that were shy
are coming to the forefront.
Are coming to the forefront and then blossoming because the popular kids that were already out there are not as out there no more because they don't know how to maneuver themselves.
True. I think this goes back to what Shay was saying too. Like, you know, the pandemic has really leveled the platform. These artists that are at home, they have the opportunity to come out here and just really get their stuff heard and really build a genuine following of people who are interested in them for their music and not just for their image and not just for how they look and not just for, you know, the cute pictures that they post on Instagram of wherever they're at. Like they're tuning into them because they like their music. And I think that that's really, 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 really dope. I agree with that.
What about you, Shay? Oh my God, I lost you.
No, I'm here. I just was muted. But what do I say to? I mean, like, I agree. I agree. I agree. I don't know if I have more to add, but yeah, I think that there's a new, less maybe different expectations in artists, and like, you know, the personality you have to be a rock star. You know, it's okay to develop into your personality and not be a product of your label and be yourself completely. And I think that that's something that we really highlight on our website, is the uniqueness of these creatives. And it really is. I mean, when you saw The Weeknd's performance, like, that was art. That was through and through. You saw that it was a piece of art. Yeah. I mean, even down to whoever the videographer was, including the artists and the dancers and the people who made the set. Like, I think that it's really amazing that The Weeknd did all of that and pulled it off in such a manner that I really think it was just like a snub to the Grammys or something. I don't want to start any tea spilling or anything, but I feel like that was his moment saying, I'm better and I know it.
But that's the thing too, and I'm glad you brought up the Grammys, because it was surprising when last year he came with 6 Grammys, and that was all for just his music. I'm pretty sure right before the album. This was before After Hours even came out, because After Hours came in April of 2020. So he's getting all these Grammys in January. So what is the change now after he Billboarded #1 how many times? Mm-hmm. How many times has he broken records from streams? He went platinum twice, I'm pretty sure, with the album. So now you're getting mad because what? Why?
For why? I mean, it could go back to what you're talking about, right? You know, that the idea that like now he's making music that's more a reflection of who he is instead of what the labels want. And again, like that goes back to why we promote the artists that we do, right? The artists that we promote are the ones that are true to themselves. Like they're genreless. They do what they do unapologetically. So, and the industry doesn't always like that.
Maybe there are labels that support that, because I tell you what, labels should support that, because that makes money. That makes money too, you know, allowing artists themselves and not be a cookie cutter copy of a previous artist just because that artist sold. You know, I really think that the uniqueness is something that labels should embrace and encourage.
It's like you promote Tekashi up the ass. We're okay with Tekashi, who then tattooed. Did she like pass out on me because I said Tekashi? No. I'm like, first of all, puppy!
He was trying to get up on the bed.
Oh my God.
This is so cute.
Thank you.
We have Tekashi tattooing 69 on himself consecutively and growing a beard and sitting in the studio, and that is okay with people? But yet the Weeknd, who's just getting his shit together to put a great show, still won't get no Grammy noms.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a snub to me, but other people have different opinions, so we just, I think that I just echoing this as we wrap up too, like I think that like we should embrace uniqueness because obviously we want to respect the artists and like we want to give people artistic freedom, but also because that is also what makes money. Like I'm just echoing Shay's point. I know, but like you're never gonna have another Beyonce. So what sense is there in comparing the record label or the talent that you're signing to your label to Beyonce and constructing them with artist development to make them a Beyonce or a Rihanna? It's not going to happen. There's never going to be another Beyonce. There's never going to be another Rihanna. There's never going to be another Billie Eilish, for example. Like there's never going to be any more. So the industry definitely needs to foster this talent. So
I know that we're wrapping up, but I did want to mention that I think that another artist who we need to mention is Sophie, because I think that her unique perspective in art, I mean, her music videos alone, her songs, the person that she was, her aesthetic, her style of fashion, like the message there was very clear and very unique. And I think that's, unfortunately Sophie recently passed, but I wish we had more Sophies. Yeah, it was actually just last week, I think, but it was, she was an amazing artist and RIP. I wish that we had more Sophies in this world.
Sophie was so influential in every genre of music to all of your favorite mainstream artists. Like Sophie was behind the track. Sophie was one of the most influential producers, artists that has ever lived. And she literally drove pop music in the 2010s and evolved it into what it sounds like now. Like Sophie was huge. So that was definitely like a really tragic loss too. But I'm happy you brought that up, Shay.
Yeah.
So my last question that I ask everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without the cultural reset, who would Nick and Shay be?
I'm an environmentalist by day. Yeah. My other passion and thing that I advocate about a lot is the environment. I studied freshwater science. I grew up surrounded by the Great Lakes. I really, really see the threat and the anxiety in our generation of climate change and the fears of the limited resource of water. And that's something that I try to both advocate for, educate myself in, and through my career have an impact on that. So yeah, that's definitely, what I've been working on currently. And I haven't really announced this yet, and I'm not really sure how the world will take it, but currently I am a cannabis cultivator, which is really cool.
I need some. I'll get some from you. It's okay.
Yay. Yeah, it's actually, I'm really excited. I love working with plants. And I think that as the, federalization of legal recreational marijuana becomes a thing, I think that is one place where we should be looking into the future of making it more sustainable, or as sustainable as possible, because I think that we know the marijuana industry is only going to grow, literally and figuratively.
Who would I be without the cultural reset? I think I'll be looking for another way to give back, honestly, because the cultural reset for me is just a way to give back to an industry that hasn't really embraced this sort of inclusivity that you see other industries embracing. In corporate America, inclusivity has kind of become a standard, diversity and inclusion. There's literally whole departments that exist.
Is it really?
The effort is being made, right? Like we're not there yet, but now you're having these institutions dedicating entire teams and entire departments to diversity and inclusion, which is progress, I think. But the thing about it is that even in like the TV and film industry, like you're seeing opportunities popping up for minority crew members. You're seeing opportunities pop up for minority like actors on screen, minority creatives, and like you see a lot of marginalized groups building tables for themselves in the film and TV space. But music is kind of that one industry that really doesn't have many initiatives like that, if you really think about it. Because people, like we were talking about before, like labels and a lot of gatekeepers, they want to work with artists that embody this cookie cutter mentality of what a mainstream artist is, which in general is like cis and white usually. So that really excludes a large demographic of people, and that's just a big piece of what's remained unchanged in the music industry. So for me, the cultural reset was just a way to give back in that regard and really kind of start having these conversations with, you know, these music business professionals and these young creatives who want to start up in the music industry as well. So I think without TCR, I'd be trying to find a way to give back, just like we're doing right now.
Trying to make TCR.
Yeah, I'd be trying to make TCR again.
Yeah. I mean, this is Nick's dream, Nick's mission. Nick is the creator of this. And so I can only imagine that you would be trying to, you know, pursue this mission in whatever aspect of life you were at. If you didn't have a website to do it, I'm sure you would do it like, you know, in your careers, in the film industry, in yourself as an artist.
Yeah. And I think too, like one thing that's interesting to note about Shay and I is that we are not exclusively, you know, music industry. Like we don't work for labels, is essentially what I'm trying to say. You know, she works in environmentalism and she's worked with music festivals and seen the musicscape in that lens. I've worked predominantly in TV and film and journalism on that side, but I sing and I songwrite. You don't have to be like a major label exec. You don't have to be somebody who's in the marketing space in an actual label to do this work. You know, that's also something I really want to stress. You can make a change anywhere. Like again, career-wise, professionally, I'm TV and film mostly, even though I sing and songwrite. But I see something that needed to be done, and I wanted to do it. So
like you said, you sing. So I think, you know, you should do a little me.
Oh my Lord, Jesus Christ! People take to warm up. Oh, let me think of a song to sing. Oh Lord.
I'm glad I'm not being put on the spot.
Oh, I got you. Always are supposed to have a go-to song to sing. I'm trying to think of like a go-to song to sing.
To Beyonce.
Oh yeah, that's true. All right. Say my name when no one is around you. Say, baby, I love you if you ain't running game. Say my name. You acting kind of shady and calling me baby. Why the sudden change?
Wait. So all this time we were talking about old TV shows and Friends and the TCR reset, and you were hiding out on me with a voice like that.
That's very kind. Tune into my Instagram because I do plan to be posting some covers soon. So
fuck yeah.
At Nick Lee Mick MCC. Yeah. But yeah, I love to sing and I love to songwrite, and that wasn't me my best, but but yeah, like, you know, that kind of experience is what I've had in the music industry, like performed places. And, you know, when you see a problem, you should just fix it. You know, that's the big message about everything that we do. Like if you see a problem, it doesn't matter if you have the quote unquote experience to fix it, you just fix it. So.
Okay. Just fix it.
Just fix it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much again for sitting down with me. I am so sorry for the technical glitches in the beginning. You know, you giving me that face, so I don't know if like I'm still in trouble or not.
No, you're not in trouble. We appreciate having the opportunity to come on to promote ourselves and TCR. So we
have good conversation.
Yo, I
enjoyed this. Thank you.
I did too. So in the meantime, when I do end the live, we'll take a quick snapshot of it, you know, of the three of us. And then, but in the meantime, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, you can find us at www.cultural-reset.com, our Instagram, and the majority of our social media handles across Facebook and Insta. Well, I guess, yeah. Okay, so Insta, I'll just go through each one. Insta is going to be at TC Reset. Facebook is going to be The Cultural Reset. You can just look us up on Facebook. YouTube is going to be The Cultural Reset as well. On Reddit, we are r/The Cultural Reset. That's our subreddit. And eventually, too, like we are going to break into Twitter as well. So that's probably just going to be The Cultural Reset as well. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely follow those platforms, and you'll be able to see a lot of the stuff that we do, especially on Instagram. That's where we kind of like mainly base as well. So, yeah. And then our personal handles, I don't know, Shay, you may not want to give out yours, but mine is Nick, LEEMCC, Nick Lee Mick. And
I'll give mine. I actually recently changed my Instagram name because it used to be Rustic Sarcasm 3, but we decided that wasn't mature enough. So I went.
I thought that was plenty mature.
I loved it.
Okay, well, I decided to change it for myself then, and I changed it to Shay Grows Green. So it's SHAY Grows Green because Shay Grow Green.
I like it though.
Thank you.
On that note, guys, it was a very interesting episode of Inside the Rawrrzone with the two young people that are pushing the culture right now from the Cultural Reset, Shay and Nick Lee. Tomorrow, Cash, welcome to the Rawrrzone, where we have our guest, Danny Ray, and official Katana J coming from Perth Amboy, New Jersey. It's going to be a lot of crazy fun going on. 6 p.m. SIP this week with Katya. That's just something I don't even want to get into right now because that's too crazy. Gorilla Talk podcast with Secrets 224 this Saturday at 7. And then hopefully, eventually, I get to get a break. But on that note, this was Inside the Rawrrzone. Guys, let me end the live so we could take our picture. And we are out.